All right, for those who wanted to see the Edgecoat steps, and this applies to any of the stuff I'm edge coating, this is what I use, this is what I do. This is my base coat that I use. As I said before, I use this as my paints, as my edge coat. Because this comes in such a big jug, I like to, and it can, as time goes, when this has been open a lot, and also you can't exactly take this and dip it all the way down to the bottom. So I have these little tiny 1 ounce, I think 1 ounce containers. I use just one unless it starts getting really gross, and I just toss it because these are cheap. And I fill it with this, and that way it stays the consistency it should. But you can see at the very top it does get gluey over time, and so that's why, because otherwise this gets like that. So I like to put it in a smaller container. First thing I do is I like to quickly just take a little lighter, because some vinyls have fuzzy, fleecy backs or whatever. And also if you didn't trim your ollie fun down really well, this will catch just the edges. You don't want to hold the flame over it too long because otherwise your ollie fun will completely burn. Let's see. Do I have a scrap piece I can show you? Sure, right here. I'll just take a little piece of this. Okay, so if you just hold it for a second, you'll see it'll just whoop, starts to melt. We don't want that. So you don't want to hold it more than even a split second. Literally, I just go and it evens it out. You'll see the ollie fun just melt back just enough to give you the edge you want. And since I already have my lighter out, I'll just go all the way around the edges. This way your ollie fun ends up being perfect, even if you didn't trim it exactly how it's supposed to be. So see, my ollie fun now shrunk up just a little bit where it'll all be perfectly even. As I said, just a split second. All right, so then I dip my roller in, and I'm just doing the edge on these this might be my old roller that sticks. Of course, I grabbed my old roller that sticks. Although I thought this was my new one. I don't know, we'll see. This is the new one. It was just sticking. I hadn't woken up yet. All right, so you're just going to just light roll. You don't want it to go on thick and clumpy. That I usually do, like I just did with my finger, along the front to make sure there was no drip overage. So you can't really see anything yet. It's just a light coat. If my camera will focus. Nope, it's not going to focus. But it's just hello, here. Nope, it doesn't want to focus. Sorry, y'all. I'll have pictures though so you could see. But it's just a light coat. So we'll do that on the top stitch edges. As I said, I do it 3 times, and then I do my color. So let's get on with that. All right, so now that we did all 3 coats, or at least that's what I choose, 3 coats of our base coat, it's time to do our edge coat. First thing you want to do is make sure it is all smooth. Like you can run your finger across and it'll feel just nice, smooth like a baby's butt. If it is not, you could take a little piece of sandpaper and gently just buff it a little bit. I use the oh goodness, we just discussed this in the Coven of Testers. I use whatever the finishing one. Oh yeah, so Joseph in the Coven of Testers, without mansplaining, because he was so nervous that he was mansplaining, it was awesome. I adore him. Said that it's 150 grit, but it's the one that just says like the finishing whatever. That's what I use, and I just will go really gently like this on it. I don't need to on this one, so I'm not going to do it because I don't want to scuff it up. But really gently. If you have any drips, Like sometimes if I go a little heavier than I should have and I hang it up, there'll be a little drip at the bottom. I just take my little snippy snips and I'll just slowly snip it off. Especially at this stage, because once we put it all together, we're going to be coating all the other edges, so I can always smooth it out. If it's at the very final step, you could just take a little tiny edge coat and just kind of smooth it on, even with just your finger, just to smooth it out. Let that dry and then do your paint, but mine are all good to go. Or you might see if you lay yours flat to dry, you might see that little extra drip will flatten out and it'll stick to your table. When you pull it up, you'll have a little piece of flat. That one's actually easier to just snip off because you're just, snipping that little piece, and there won't be anything to worry about filling in wise. All right, so our last step is the paint. Again, I'm using, for me, I use the Angelus leather paint, but I know Giardini makes, there's a couple different brands that make it. Oof, my hair is a mess today. I didn't really do it today, so sorry. All right, so I take my top off. Yes, I just said that. I'm taking my top off. I don't use the little paintbrushy thingy because I like the way it applies better with this. And just like we did with the edge coat, we're just going to go slightly on. You're going to go slowly, but I always go very slow with my paint because that you don't want to go over the edge. You want it to be that perfect. You don't want to accidentally paint your vinyl. So I just go roll it, rolling on the river. All right, so it looks perfect. Put this down to show y'all so you can see I now have a red edge. So we put that down, and then I will just continue on with the others. All right, so that's my fourth one. So now I'm just going to let these dry, and we will be back with putting it all together. See you in a moment.